Welcome to Abundance Is Your Birthright. I am your host, Hafiza Teray. This evening, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dre Taylor, an entrepreneur and innovator who remains dedicated to building community through a variety of endeavors. Among the nation's leaders working to improve our food systems, Mr. Taylor is the founder of Nile Valley Aquaponics, a 100,000-pound food project based in Kansas City, Missouri. He co-founded the KC Urban Food Co-op, which has planted one of the country's largest public fruit orchards. Mr. Taylor brings more than a decade of community development experience to his work, along with a deep-rooted desire to produce food, create jobs, and positively impact the lives of others. As a founding member of Males to Men, Mr. Taylor established this mentoring program geared towards guiding, teaching, and employing impressionable youth in the urban core. He has served on a number of boards, including Planned Industrial Expansion Authority, appointed by the mayor of Kansas City to oversee real estate development averaging $20 million. In addition, Mr. Taylor is a grant writer as well as a grant reviewer for the USDA. Dre Taylor currently resides in Ghana, where he is utilizing his project management skills and real estate development abroad. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Greetings, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I have the pleasure of speaking with Dre Taylor. You know, the bio speaks for itself and says a lot. You have a very impressive body of work, and there seems to be a very consistent theme throughout. We're talking about mentorship and community agriculture. So that vein of community seems to be in everything that you do, including building community in Ghana. So what does community mean to you?
Community to me means family, extended family. You know, our people, our culture is my community. That's what I strive to, help out. To advantage the underdogs. And so that's what I try to go and bat for the underdogs of the people. So, it's a lot of people who planned, still planning against our community, and so some of us got to step up to the plate and try to, diffuse some of that planning and help us to strive to go forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know that kind of just segues into the next question, just around like the motivation around what it is that you do and adding value to the lives of so many. You know, where does that motivation come from?
Motivation comes from it's work that needs to be done. It's a battle on every front. We fighting on everywhere we turn. There's a fight. There's a battle. And so knowing that the work needs to be done, knowing that I'm able-bodied to do the work, that's motivation enough for me to say, hey, let's put the heads down and let's get to work. It's everybody have a part to play. I'm just playing mine. So that's what I'm here to do. Just play my part, nothing more, nothing less. Get the job done and make it easier for those who come behind me to, continue the work that's been, put forth for me to continue to work. So keeping that push going. So.
Oh, that's phenomenal. You know, especially just to answer the call because, you know, we have choices and to make the choice to be of service and to add such value to other people's lives is significant and greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you for the work that you're doing over there. Even highlighting this. So, it takes special people to do the work because there's a lot of people who benefit from the work from a few, and so sometimes it goes unnoticed. So kudos to you for putting the work in that you're doing. And sometimes it's overlooked and underappreciated. So I'm sending my appreciation to you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate that. Yeah, so just to get into the broad scope of everything that you're doing, you know, on a community level, we think of like in our backyard, but it goes beyond that. What you've done has touched people nationally and internationally. So just even having that broad view of thinking beyond just your backyard, where did that come from? Traveling abroad and things of that nature. When did that start for you?
Traveling abroad, I always travel with family. We always went to see family members in, California, Arkansas, Minnesota. And so we always travel, domestically, but internationally, my family, they travel internationally, but I haven't, up to the point of me being 19. And that's when I, spread my wings out, went to Cancun, Mexico, and I just opened my eyes up to what the world had to offer. And so, having that passport as a young Black man, seeing something other than the block and the city and the suburbs and things like that, uh, the worldwide scale, give you a different perspective on life and, understanding you have options and availability to go see the world. The earth is our turf. There's Black people everywhere. There's Black people in Mexico, there's Black people in Europe, there's Black people everywhere, China, anywhere you go, there's Black people. So, having that uh, cultural view that other cultures exist, um, and having that option to go visit and learn those different cultures.
Wow, wow, and that's powerful because, like you said, you run into people who look like you, but may speak a different language. The foods
Yeah.
they eat might be different, the dances they do might be different. So, how does that impact just how you see other cultures in the world being exposed in that way?
Um, one thing that I really, you know, give my take on is my position as a Black man in different countries and how that's perceived. Um, you know, we have a better, we have a better, I'm gonna say better opportunities, but people look at us different in other countries. Some they see and they learn from what's on the media, TV, and the propaganda that the U.S. puts out there. But at the same time, you're treated differently than you are treated in the U.S., which is crazy. How can you be treated better in a different country that nobody knows you and you can be from somewhere so-called home?
Right.
And so having those options to say as a Black man that you can live in other places and live a comfortable life. You don't have to deal with the racism and things that come along with everything in the U.S. Speaks volumes. And there's a lot of people that live in these different places. You can go on Facebook and look at expat, Nicaragua, expat Costa Rica,
Yeah.
Brazil. It's expats in every country, and it's Black people living their best life. Who's moved with families, move, by themselves, or had friends, or didn't have nobody, and made those transitions and made it easier. So, it's nothing new. You always hear about the people that want to come into the United States, but you never hear about the number of people who leave the United States. So,
Yeah.
they don't never talk about that. And that's a lot of us who live in other places around the world. So it's that option to say, hey, we have options to do so. So you're not really pigeonholed to be in the United States, the so-called best country in the world. It's propaganda.
Oof. So you really just spoke to like the importance of exposure and stepping outside of the familiar to be exposed to so many opportunities and different ways of existing. So I think there's something powerful in that message, especially coming from your perspective of being a Black man in America and having the experience of what it's like to be somewhere else. um, you mentioned like going to Europe, you mentioned Mexico, you mentioned China even. What are some of the key factors when you decide or consider a destination? Are there places that you won't go? Are there, things that, are green flags that are at the top of your list?
I'm not really too keen on Europe. Uh, Africa is a big continent with 54 countries there. And so, yeah, I'm yet to explore all those. I like to go where there's Black people at, first and foremost. Uh, but those are usually my criteria. Like I've been to a lot of places, but uh, when I go, because of what I'm doing in Ghana, I'm looking at construction, architecture, what's bringing people there, what's the amenities that's making people say, hey, I want to travel, I want to do this, I want to see that, and seeing what I can include to what I'm designing in Ghana. So that's primarily now when I travel, that's what I'm looking for is architecture, the design, and what's getting people to travel all the way to that country just for certain amenities.
Nice, very nice. So you mentioned Ghana and this phenomenal project that I'm looking forward to us getting into. But what was it about Ghana? How often have you traveled there? And what
Um,
was it about Ghana that made you want to call Ghana home?
um, I've been wanting to go to Africa for a long time, and I was just traveling all over the place, and I don't know what the reason was why I just haven't been yet.
Mhm.
And I finally made that decision when I had a friend that had been going there for like the last 20 years, and he moved there with his family and built his house. And I mean, really, from the moment I stepped my foot off that airplane, and you know, the feeling on the ground was like, I just felt at home. I felt welcome. I felt like, they wanted me there. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, in the U.S. people look at you and, what are you doing here type of
Right.
situation where you just deal with it, we internalize it, and
Mhm.
it's just something that's just normal. But I just felt at home in Ghana, and then I visited my partner's home, and like a 9 foot wall, and emblem on his gate, and I walked in there, and he had 30 fruit trees, pineapples, avocados, sarasop, bananas, plantains, all this stuff growing, solar, battery backup system, water filtration, like a 7,500 square foot house. And I'm like, this man over here living like a king. And I was sold right then and there, like, you know what? I'm coming back. I'm moving here. And so it didn't take me long to make that decision. I just had to put things in place to be able to do so.
That's amazing, amazing. And you spoke about something that it resonates and since earlier on in the conversation, just about that experience of being somewhere different and that sense of peace. Can you kind of touch on that? Because leaving the United States is I think it's almost a foreign concept. Like even to imagine what that feels like to not have to be hyper vigilant or feel like you're being tolerated, but actually be somewhere where you're welcomed and wanted.
Yeah, Ghana gives me like a peace of mind when I'm in Ghana. It's a peaceful place. When I say peaceful, you're not hearing gunshots. Of course, they have some issues, but it's not like nowhere near United States. So I want to paint the picture as if it's, all aces and nothing is going wrong. They have their issues, but it's far less. One of the elders that I met in Ghana, he said a bad day in Ghana beats a bad day in the U.S. any day. You know, in the U.S., you can turn on the news, shootings, police. Uh, it's so much that we deal with. Even from getting pulled over from like a license plate light out. Like life is not that serious where you should be able to go to jail for a license plate light out. You know what I mean? And so when you recognize that life isn't that serious, and you can have a peace of mind, then depending on what you value. But for me, that's what I value: peace of mind. Is I can go there and I don't have to look over my back, my shoulder, and I can walk freely. And when you go to that airport, it's like it's so much baggage that you carry with you, and it takes some time to let that baggage go, where it's not what you think it is, because the way you've been raised, the way you've been socially engineered to uh, deal with certain behaviors, where it's like, I just need to chill out because it's really not that. And so, and it teaches you patience. Of course, it's a different culture in Ghana, and you have to get used to that culture. But, I feel free, which is not normal in the United States to be free in the so-called free place. Um, it's always like Malcolm X used to say that all black men is born with a warrant, just a matter of time when they want to serve the warrant. Uh, and so a lot of our black men go through, a system, you know, just by association, harassed, whatever it may be. And this shouldn't be normal. I feel safer in Mexico than I do in the United States, and that shouldn't make no sense.
Right, right.
Why should I feel safer in Mexico? I speak poquito español, but uh, it shouldn't be that case. I shouldn't go places and I feel safer there than I do, in so-called home.
Right.
So it just speaks volumes to be able to be free and don't worry about things about just enjoying. You can just enjoy life. You can go out and not have to worry about shootings and police next one. Just enjoy life. That's what life is about. We should be able to enjoy it. And it's just unfortunate that we can't do that in the United States.
Wow. Wow. So it sounds like you're almost like relearning or even learning for the first time what freedom truly feels like, or what that sense of peace really feels like, to be in an environment where, you don't have to be on 24-hour guard or alert in the same way in which you do here in the States. It sounds like that even that sense of peace is something that you have to get used to, being in a new place where you're not under those same conditions. So that, I think, is something that is very interesting to think about, especially for those of us who are thinking about transitioning, or what it would be like to move, or for some of us who've never visited to visit. So just in the listeners or the viewers who are watching, what are some of the top 3 things that you would that they should consider if they're interested in coming over to Ghana?
Top 3 things I think is, one is to put a plan in place, whether it's a 1 year, 3 year, a 5 year plan together, 5 year plan to figure out how you're gonna make that move. I meet people over there all the time. Some just move and just decide not to come back. Some, yeah, just off the rip, they're like, hey, we tired of America. We're just gonna go over there. We'll figure things out. I don't know if I was that, unless you got like a big nest egg or something like that. 2 is to visit to see if that's really what you want to do. When you come over there for the first time, you come over there with tourist eyes. It's all glossy, so you don't see everything of the hustle and bustle of every day. And so, even visiting multiple times and even over 30 days, where you see the hustle and flow of the people, you understand, certain nuances and things like that comes along with the culture. And 3, probably figuring how you're gonna make a living there. And so you're not gonna go there finding a job. There's not a lot of jobs there for the people there. So for you to come in and then expect, a certain salary or hourly wage, when the average person there is making like $300 to $400 a month, it's not going to be feasible for what you're used to. And so, but the opportunities is there to go there and create a job, and do some different things there. That's whether it's export, import, even if it's working online, getting a US dollar and bringing it over there, you do pretty good, so the price of living is low. So those are some of the 3 things I can think of that, to put in place before you move, just to make the right decision for you, yourself, and your family. So.
No, that's excellent. I think that's a great place to start. Just putting all those ducks in a row, make a plan, make sure you go and fill it out, and have a source of income. So it sounds like entrepreneurship is ideal, because it seems like you have to be creative, like you said, as far as looking for employment might not be the best route.
Yeah, if you're looking for a job to go over there, then don't go over there. But there's so many jobs online in the US where you can work from
Remotely.
home type jobs where it shouldn't be that much of a problem. They got websites you can go to that supply those jobs all the time. So that's what I would recommend, because everybody's not an entrepreneur.
This
And
is true.
so if you ain't been an entrepreneur, it's hard to start and have that mindset to go out and get it. So I wouldn't advise it and say, hey, I'm gonna go over there and do this if you've never done it before.
Right.
It might not be for you, which is nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a great segue into something that you are creating in this project, The Beyond. So what inspired you to get into like just such a robust, like dynamic development project in Ghana, bringing all of these amenities and, you know, things into being?
What inspired me was, 2019 was the year we turned, marked 40 years from leaving the coast of Africa to the United States and the numbers that we left. And so the following year was beyond the return, meaning, what do we do now? We've came back, we enjoyed, we've seen different cultural things. Now we coming back as beyond the return. What do we do now? So my answer was that the Beyond Investments is the company that I started to say now we coming back and now we building on, the relationship we're establishing. And I mean, there's been many different time periods where we've migrated back to Africa, Pan African Fest. Marcus Garvey wanted to bring everybody back with a Black Star line. And, it's been different. Liberia, they set up the whole Liberia country next to Ghana for African Americans. So there's been different, like I said, movements for us to come back to Ghana. But this time around, the beyond is like, now how do we invest now in Ghana? And how do we do that? So I had a tour company I started a couple years ago, bringing people to Ghana. People seen the pictures, the videos, and they was like, man, I want to go to Ghana. Tell me about it. So I started a tour company, started bringing people over. And then I had a family who went on the tour and they said, we moving. And so I'm like, I need to be able to provide housing, shelter, not just for the people who want to move there from my tour groups. I got tired of giving these hotels money. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and, put some stuff together and try to build my own facility with amenities that I see in other places when I travel. And so, I got land, looking for beachfront, it's tricky there. So I'm still working that out. But I got some land on a mountain side, about 5 minutes from my friend who lived there in Abri. And so, we've cleared the land and, doing the steps and getting the permits and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what we're working on now. So I'm very excited. The possibility for people to invest in Ghana. It's a different flex. It's our own international real estate in a different country, especially Ghana. They have a large African-American population, the biggest African-American population in Africa, about 7,000 of us that live over there. So it's a landing spot, a good landing spot for us. They speak English as first language, but it's like 90 different dialects. So everybody speak at least 3 to 4 different languages there, but mostly English is recognized and spoken. So, why not Ghana? It's peaceful. The weather's great. Fresh vegetables and fruits growing year round. It's a good time to be alive.
Indeed, indeed. And it's just an exciting project. You mentioned the mountainside in Iburi. Why Iburi? Because I know there's some connection to what it has to offer that makes it somewhat maybe more enticing than an average development or something in the city. What makes it different?
Yeah, I mean, when I would imagine if I was to move somewhere out the country, what would be, deciding factors in me moving and coming from the Midwest, Kansas City, living in the city, living in the suburbs, it's like, I want scenery, and so that scenery, you got the mountains that you're looking at, and then you got the city lights at night that you can see. And so having that serene and that serenity, of just waking up to the sun and that mountains and the city lights at night, does something for me, and so I like scenery and experiences. And so I was able to, obtain some land, clear it out, and we'll start the building process sometime in late January, early February. But we'll do a ribbon cutting on the 27th of uh, December this month. Man, time is flying. Uh, we'll be doing a ribbon cutting there, on the site there with the people from my tour, some other individuals that'll be there. So
Very nice. Very nice. That is amazing. So you spoke about this project, and you also mentioned that there was a possibility of, waterfront. What are some of the other projects on the horizon?
yeah, so my neighbor actually, who's my neighbor on the mountainside, owns some land on the beach, and so just going over the paperwork with my lawyers and trying to figure out, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That's one thing about Ghana is you just got to be careful. It's not like you get a real estate agent and they do a title search and then everything works out and you got a property in 30 days. That's not the case there. You got to do your due diligence, go above and beyond. So luckily my neighbor has all his paperwork and things like that, but it's some land right on the beachfront where I might get back to the container building there in Ghana. So there's some containers on the beachfront. I did some design like 2 years ago, so I'm gonna update those designs or something different, but still there's some containers there. So that'll be an option for those who want to get in at a small price point for a container or multiple containers if they want. So I should be looking for that, but we will be visiting that site on the 27th of December to show people the possibilities of, hey, this is available and this is what we be building. So giving people an idea of what's available there.
Nice, very nice. And just to kind of, because you mentioned a couple of things in the conversation, but I wanted to touch on the sustainability of these projects. Like you just mentioned container homes, and we talked about like your partner having, water catchment and solar. How does that factor into your design and the developments that, you're creating, the sustainability aspect of it?
Yeah, so I have somewhat of a sustainability background, and so I've dealt with solar and, growing food and things of that nature. So, building Africa, definitely want to take advantage of those resources of having natural sun pretty much a year round almost. Rainwater catchment, they have boreholes there. We pretty much dig in the ground and you have piping system going down hundreds of feet and that's how you collect your water. And then most people have septic tanks, or they call biodigesters there on the property. And so anytime I'm building Ghana, I want to be pretty much off the system, as off the grid as much as possible. They do have power outages depending on where you at. And so just to get off that whole grid system, I want to do solar, battery backup system, water filtration, just more sustainable living. And even like, with the houses we're building like 8 houses, 8 townhomes. All those are off the grid, you know, at a good price point. You're talking about a 1,700 square foot house for 160K off the grid.
Oof.
I don't care where you're at in America, you're not gonna get a new construction home, 1,700 square feet, solar, battery backup system, water filtration, 24-hour security, all the amenities that we have that you have access to, the rooftop, restaurant, the market, the spa, the basketball court, tennis court, the playground,
Pool.
the zip line, the valley swing, the slide from Ecuador.
Yeah.
You don't even get access to that, not for 160K. And so even the bricks that we're building, they're going to be coming from the soil, the earth bricks. And so, like I said, it's a whole sustainable build that we're doing there. So we're just trying to have a whole sustainable development, probably going to be one of the, biggest sustainable developments, maybe, of its kind of what we're trying to do. So we'll see. But yeah, I got a strong team of sustainability people. Shout out to Habasha, out in, they bases in Atlanta, but they also have that outfit there in Ghana. So shout out to Abasha.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. That is phenomenal. And again, so much to be excited about just with, the opportunities and everything that's going on. And just how strategic you were about everything from the where you selected to, the views and the amenities to just building community around that and the connections that you've made to get this thing going and moving. So one of the other pieces to it is obviously if you're going to buy a property, it and it's not your primary, or it is, and you travel, the opportunity to rent and rental income. What are some of the draws to the area? I know that we're in December now. What is some of the things that will bring tourism and renters and things like that to the area?
So one of the draws is that I signed a 3-year agreement with the Diasporian Office of the President, meaning to host real estate conferences in Ghana for the next 3 years. Because there is a large number of people, primarily from the States. You're talking about 400,000 people coming to visit Ghana in December. And so being able to facilitate the conversation about investing in real estate. And so you have that piece right there. So they'll be coming in and seeing what we're doing and opportunity to live or rent in these places. Second, where we're at in the Bree, we're probably about, we have the Bree Botanical Gardens. That's maybe like 10 minutes away. We have some waterfalls. It's about 10 minutes away. We're about, 30, 45 minutes from the mall, 45 minutes from the airport, and about an hour 15 minutes from the beach, depending on the traffic there. So we have a lot of amenities. We're on the top of the mountain, so it's about 20 minutes to the bottom of the mountain. There's a mall there at the bottom of the mountain, so it's a grocery store inside of there. So you're not like in a rural bush area, even though to get to our project, we're 5 minutes from the main road through a community on the backside. So it was bush, and we just cleared some land. And for those tree huggers, which I'm a tree hugger myself, we're gonna be replanting, fruit trees, coconuts, and all kind of stuff along the road. So, what we take out, we putting back in, and plus we're doing some greenery on the property. So everybody had their own plants and stuff like that on the property. And we'll be growing some things there as well. So
That is amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's hard not to just be so excited about everything that's going on. And you said 400,000 people. That's what's like the estimate for tourism for Ghana for just December.
yeah, just for December, man, everybody comes back. You have a lot of Ghanaians who come back home who live abroad, whether
Yeah.
it's in Europe, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in the United States. And then you have those who come for, it's Afrochella, the parties. It's a party every night, in December. And so people come for that. People come from the cultural aspect, going to slave dungeons. I hate to say castles because they're actually dungeons. To attend those naming ceremonies, uh, the food, just so many different things that people come there for. So when I do my tour, I tell everybody, even though it's called the Afrochella Tour, it's more to it than that. You get more of a cultural experience. Yeah, there's parties at night, but during the day, we're experiencing the food, the culture, the dances. Everything that's involved in, the tours that we put on tours to Ghana. Shameful plug, but yeah.
No, please. And I was about to ask that next because we're going to make sure that we have that on the screen as well, and put that in the chat so that anybody listening or watching can go directly to the link. So we're going to have that as well as the website so that you can see this beautiful development and the renderings that are currently available. But I definitely want you to plug. Um, People are interested. They want to come to Ghana. Are there tours outside of December that they can connect to be able to, that planning phase, trips to see how it resonates with them?
Yeah, so we have the cultural tour, the Afrochella tour that's in December from like December 25th to January 3rd. And then I'm doing two real estate tours at the end of April and then the end of July. It's real estate tour. So those who are interested into, making that transition, you basically getting a guide to say, this is what I need to do to move to Ghana. You'll talk to, people from the diasporian office to talk about citizenship because that's a big, topic that people want citizenship. And I tell people, hey, visit first, get residency, and then that's a process anyway. But see if you've been like Ghana before you try to jump off the boat and gain citizenship to a place you've never been.
Right.
And so, it's a buzz topic that people always hear is I want dual citizenship, but you don't even know if you like Ghana enough to live there. So, do that first. But we'll walk people through the building process of Ghana, the price to build. We show them different areas. So you might want city, you might want beachfront, you might want mountainside, you might want rural. So we go to different cities during the tour to give you a feel for different areas, and then you get to talk to people who've actually built there. So you don't have to hear from me. You get to speak to those who, made their way there, been there for 20, 30 years. You get to talk to senior citizens who's living their best life and their social security is extended and they're off their meds because the food is healthier there. So there's a lot of different, reasons to come visit and see some of the things that you see, there in Ghana. So I think even, on this tour that I got coming up, one of the ladies, she went last year and she's coming back again this year. And she's like in her late 60s. And I think she's getting married, in Ghana to a Ghanaian, uh, you know, right before the tour starts. So,
Wow.
it's just, we have options, and Ghana is just one of the options to be able to make that transition and live the life that you should be able to live, and, one of the things that, like I said, a retiree told me, another thing that a retiree told is that we wish we didn't give our best years to the United States. So being able to do it in their prime. So it's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Wow. No, that is definitely a powerful note to leave on. Just that whole, yeah, there's so much life and there's so many options, and we don't know what we don't know. And I think what you've created here is the opportunity to kind of have your hand held through this process, because a lot of times that's what it is. Like, you don't know where to begin. But, the tours alone can help you get a really good understanding as to what it is, where it is, what you like, what you don't like, and the resources to actualize all of this. And that is phenomenal. So I truly, truly, truly appreciate you taking time out. It's late here, so I know y'all watching this is probably about 8 o'clock, but it's late right now. And I appreciate you making time for this because it's such valuable information, and I know it resonates with so many who want something more and may not know how to reach for it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope I provided some insight to those and to Ghana, what's going on there, you know, uh, and I hope to see you guys soon and making your way. If it's 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, put something together and check us out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, we're going to have all of those links in the comments. So definitely go down and click on it. It'll get you directly to it. You can see this beautiful renderings for the property and get more information on pricing and all of the details around square footage and amenities. And we're also going to have a link for the tour. So you got some time. I think the next tour is after December is April.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
In
so
April.
yes, put it on your calendar. You got some time to plan and make that happen. But we'll definitely make sure we get that information out to you. Again, greatly appreciated. Thank you all for tuning in, and looking forward to connecting soon. Peace and blessings.
Thanks for having me.